Deborah, thank you so much for joining us for this very special virtual summit. Damn, wish that somebody would have told me that, where we are sharing tips, so many tips that are helping so many entrepreneurs to really forge ahead. And I always say it's like navigating the hidden landmines, the unwritten rules, all of these things that come up. And you have been an entrepreneur for quite a while, and I'd love to introduce you to the viewers. So tell us a little bit about you and your zone of genius.
Oh my. Well, thank you so much, Patty. Very welcoming. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. I think this is just a fabulous idea. I know people are going to really benefit from this. My zone of genius. Well, I help business owners, entrepreneurs that are struggling with the fears and the doubts that can come up and can stop them. So I help them overcome those fears and doubts, what I call the resistance. Most people are familiar with the drunk monkey or the inner critic. And that way they can get re-excited and they can get back into taking action and they can get those big goals. They're big money goals, big personal goals, and well, get back into enjoying the rest of their life as they do that. Now, how I came to that, well, that's a little bit of a story.
Okay, I'm ready. I'd love to hear more. You've piqued my interest. Let's do it.
Years ago, I noticed that I had a cycle and I just couldn't seem to avoid it. This was very real, very up close and personal for me. I'd move forward, I'd get excited, have a lot of creativity, have a lot of juice about something. And then something would happen in my life, a little upset, some random mishap, a little accident, something that wasn't going quite right. And that yapping voice in my brain, that inner critic, that mean girl would just lay me low, man. And it would be like one step forward, two steps back. I'd blame myself. I'd feel like I was a mess, couldn't do it right. I really get really hard on myself. I think other people can do this and I can't. What's wrong with me? Am I broken? That was a question that just went round and round in my head. There's something wrong with me. I must be broken. Well, when I got to the point where I had two kids and I was a single mom and I had a deadbeat ex, I didn't really have the time or energy to entertain those thoughts. I had to get something happening. I had to. It was an absolute have to. It became number one priority. So I looked everywhere. I dug deep. I interviewed people. I read stuff, all with this like desire to find out what is this cycle of starting something, getting excited, and then having the shoe drop and the giant hole fall out from underneath me and be in this pit. So I was highly motivated, that's for sure. And I did find out, Patty. I found out I had the very distinct honor of working with some people that really they didn't know this quite in the same way that I've accumulated it from everyone, but their teachings had bits and pieces of it. And you know what I found out? That voice in my head was a dirty dog lying. It was lying to me.
Yeah.
It was chattering on and on. It was trying to scare me. It was trying to push me. And everything it was saying was complete and utter bull. In fact, what I realized over time was that voice came up, that mean, that inner mean girl, that drunk monkey mind was coming up when I was almost there. And it was just sweeping everything back out. It was just undermining everything. And that just blew my mind. It totally set me free. Now I knew that when the going got tough and it looked like I was messing up or that things were set against me, it didn't mean that at all. And that changed everything. It changed everything for me. And I came to realize that this was a cycle. It was a cycle. And sometimes it would hit at the beginning of a process. Sometimes it would happen in the middle. Sometimes it would happen at the very end. And it would just be like this giant rubber band trying to smack me back to where I'd been. It wasn't going to let me move forward.
It's so insidious how it happens too, because I think the important thing for people to note is that as you are like, I feel that the awareness is that first step into saying, oh, okay, I'm in a cycle, because we are going, we're like the hamster on the wheel type of thing, and we don't know our own blind spots. And so that's the value of having somebody say, in your case, that's what you help people with, is moving through that cycle at whatever stage of the cycle that you've determined they are in, so that they can move forward. So I think it's extremely important to work through that. And really, I'm such a big advocate for having a coach to help you see those blind spots, to move people through in that cycle. So I know that you do that brilliantly well with your clients. So do you
I
think?
do, because
Yeah,
here's the other thing I found out, Patty.
yeah,
At first, I thought this was just me, but I know now
yeah.
that this isn't just me. This is everyone. This is everyone. This isn't something that just happens to a couple of us. And that was another thing that was a really big aha.
That's so,
So
yeah.
mhm.
Well, no, I was just gonna say it's so true, and we don't understand the cost of not doing anything, right? So would you say that that is one of the biggest struggles that entrepreneurs have, is getting into that cycle and not breaking out of it? Or what have you determined is like a really big gap or struggle?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Patty, because here's the thing. It is what we were just talking about, which is, yes, that is a big gap, to get caught in the resistance cycle. But the even bigger thing is not even knowing that you're in there, which is where I always was. And then to top it off, not understand, this is so big, that it's part of the process. It's part of the process. There's no escaping it. Now, it may look to me that someone else on the outside's doing a better job or not even experiencing it, but I know that's not true after coaching thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And you know it's not true either, because you see every client you've who's worked with you, Patty. You've seen that there's been some point where they experience this, haven't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I love the fact that you said it may happen at the beginning, it may happen at the end, it may happen even what's really interesting, I know it's happened to me where I'll finish something and it was a great success. And then all of a sudden I could rinse and repeat,
Yes.
but I don't do it. Why don't I do that? Right. It's
Yes.
like, my coach told me, oh, you have an upper limit problem. So it could show up in many, many ways is the point here.
Yes, and I love that you said that, because it can even show up after you get what you want. It
Yeah.
can suck you back.
Sure thing. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
here's the number one struggle I see. Yeah, it is a struggle, and I've seen it with people over and over. What it comes down to is people don't really understand the change process. We have this crazy misguided idea that when, because I did, you know, it's exciting and it's new and it's destined and I'm inspired by it. It must be right. And we start moving forward. And when it doesn't feel comfortable and it doesn't feel right, I thought there was something wrong. So better bail and start over.
Yeah.
So we just don't carry it the whole way through.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I I know that many people love the idea of the butterfly as a symbol of transformation. And I'd always thought that was nice until somebody really explained the life cycle of the butterfly to me. I don't know if you know this, Patty, but a caterpillar is not, or a butterfly is not just a caterpillar with wings stuck on it or grown on it.
Mhm.
That's not what happens. And we talk about business people, upper limit problem. We want to fly, we want to break free, right? Well, if you look at the caterpillar does this amazing thing, right? It attaches to a branch. It basically confines itself. It cannot get out. It builds a confinement, a little, cocoon. It cannot get out. And then I don't know if you know this, but if you don't do this but if you slice the cocoon open, there is no caterpillar in there. There's this undifferentiated goo
Yeah.
before
Oh,
the
yeah.
caterpillar. I know, before the caterpillar turns into the thing that's going to become the butterfly, it
Right.
actually unbecomes. It unbecomes, and then
Mm.
it turns into this thing that then has to fight its way. That's the other thing. I'm sure you've heard that if you open a cocoon at the end when a butterfly is trying to come out, then the butterfly's wings won't form and it won't have the strength to take to the air.
Mm.
And that is the change process in a nutshell, is that caterpillar to butterfly. And it's the same thing with business people. And gotta tell you, I get a little mad about the industry from time to time because there's all of this message of if you only do this and it's this much money, you'll get that. And no one's really understanding that change takes something. We actually melt down a little bit. And I was certainly feeling the meltdown, and all my clients feel the meltdown in the ways that they feel them. And then they recreate themselves and they strengthen that muscle that becomes the wings.
I love that.
That's what I notice. And that happens in business people. We need to earn our wings.
I love that. And
Earn our wings.
it has to go through its natural cycle. You can't force it. And that's so, I love what you're saying, because it's like, how many times you say, if I just work harder, if I just push through. No, that is literally, I love this analogy so much. It's like literally you wanting to break the natural evolution or the timeline of what it's going to take for you. And then, to give in or to surrender that this is a process that you have to work through in order to be better, stronger on the other side, which is so smart. I love that. I love that analogy. Thank you so much.
And here's the other thing. Of course. And here's the other thing. The caterpillar doesn't have a coach saying, you shouldn't become goo. It's all in your mind.
Right.
Get mentally tough.
Yeah.
The coach doesn't say that. And I have to imagine that if the caterpillar had an ego the way we do, it would be screaming bloody murder. Oh my God, we're risking everything. Don't make the cocoon. Don't do it. Just go back to the egg. That's what the ego would be saying. The drunk monkey would be saying, because there's that mechanism that says, what, are you crazy? You're essentially setting aside what you've been to become something else. That's dangerous. It's risky. That's crazy. I'm going to do anything to stop you. I'm going to lay down banana peels and put a fire in your bathroom. And it's just going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to be really mean. I'm going to push on your weak spots, your little trigger buttons. And it knows how to get you through your kids and your pets and your politics and your everything. It's just wild, isn't it?
It totally is. It totally is.
And so what happens is many of us we stop building the cocoon. We stop the process of becoming undifferentiated and reorganizing as something bigger, better, stronger, more beautiful. So I see this with clients all the time. I'm guessing you do too, don't you, Patty?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do. And I think it's so important for people to really hear this and to use that visual. And I always say, I'm just going into the next level. I'm this iteration of the new, beautiful monarch butterfly, whatever it is. And I love that. I love the visual so much. It makes so much sense. And it being a dynamic process, right? And not pushing through or forcing through, I think is really smart. All right. So I
think the most important thing to remember, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the most important thing to remember is that what you said, Patty, this is a natural process. When the ego comes up and says, no, you're doing it all wrong, you're going to fail, you suck, you better not, it's going to be horrible, the sky's going to fall. That's its job.
Yeah.
It's not really, it feels like a villain, but it really isn't. That's its job. Its job is to keep us safe. It goes with the human body. And it interprets that as keeping us the same. Don't you dare build a cocoon. Don't you dare reach for the skies. And I think that, well, you'll see when I talk about, what I wish people had told me. That is one of the things I wish people had told me.
Yeah.
I wish I understood that.
A really good one. All right. So let's transition to the 3 tips that you have. I wish somebody would have told me that tips. What is your number 1 tip?
I love this so much, Patty. I'm going to actually give my 3 in reverse order, if you don't mind. This just what we talked, because we're right here. I wish I had known that this discomfort, this feeling like everything's falling apart to fall back in together, if I had only known that, that would have just changed things. And it has changed things since I understood it. So this would be my first tip, is use that new understanding. And here's how to do that. If it seems like everything was like moving ahead and then everything suddenly starts falling apart, think back. Here's the tip. Think back and think, did I set a new intention? Did I make a choice? Did I make a change? Am I resisting all of this upheaval, this discomfort, because I set about making a change? Back in the day, when I learned this, one of the first things, boy, I just don't do anything halfway. One of the first things I decided was I needed to make a change. I had 2 children, no child support. I was going to have to make some changes financially, where I lived, everything. And I was determined. I had had my Tara moment, and I was determined, we were going to come out on the other side of this. Well, what's the first thing that happened? My car was repossessed in the middle of the night. It was a moment. And for a couple of days I was without a car, but not forever, because I was like, no, I'm doubling down. I'm leaning in. I don't care if it's hard for me or feel like I'm being embarrassed or anything. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Things may look worse, but they're falling apart to come back together.
Mm-hmm.
So there, I'd made that change. I declared a change. I was going to be independent. I was going to, take care of my family on my own. And the universe so kindly said, let me get the things that are in the way out of the way. So the car that my ex wasn't paying on got repossessed. And that was my opportunity to go out there and make things happen on my own. So that's my first tip. Use the understanding, double down, lean in, get help, get resources, get support.
Awesome. All right. What about tip number 2?
Tip 2, redirect the mind. So the mind's going to tell me everything's wrong. It's going to be really mean and tell me I'm too broke, I'm too fat, I'm too short, I'm too blonde, it's just going to, it doesn't matter what, it's going to make it a bad thing. So redirect the mind and hold that voice accountable. So one of the things I do with my clients sometimes is they come to me and they're like, I cannot stop the voice in my head. So we do a brain dump. And we put everything on a piece of paper. I'm like, just tell me what it's saying now. What's it saying now? What's it saying now? We put it on a piece of paper. And then I say, wait a minute. This is just 2 things that it's complaining about, said 30 different ways. And I was like, whoa, it feels so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right? That inner critic, that mean voice knows how to really get us on the run. So here's what we do. We say, hang on a minute. Is it even true? Am I too old? Is it true? I just heard about a woman who's 99. She just celebrated her 99th birthday. She finally at 99 said, I think I'm going to sell my house and move into an assisted living because I want to be around other people.
Mm-hmm.
She's been living on her own. She's 99. Mm-hmm. One of my mentors worked until he was almost 100. He was on classes, writing a book. At the time of his death, he was still writing a book. And this is true for many people, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have to. It really can help if we confront that voice and ask it to stand up and talk to us. Going back to that story of the time being a young mom, things weren't working for me at all. I was wanting to make more money. People were telling me, you can't make money and have your kids at home. You better put them in daycare or, preschool or whatever. And instead, I pulled out all the office supplies and put my daughter over under my desk. And I pulled in a carrier from underneath my bed that housed shoes and dumped play sand in it and put my son with a scoop and fake dinosaur bones. And they were happy and they were there and I was working and they were there. The people on the outside can sometimes mimic that voice, that mean voice that's going on the inside. But when we say, is that really true? Is it really true that I can't work, that I can't make money, that I can't be at home with my kids and work? How many people do that all the time now?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's redirecting the mind and saying, well, what if I could? What might that look like? What could I try? Mm-hmm. Holding those voices in our head accountable instead of just trying to get away from them. That's a big tip.
Love it.
And then third tip
Mhm.
We ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
This is actually my favorite tip and really should be number one. This is the one that I didn't understand at all, Patty. I grew up in that whole era of if you want to make more money, you have to work harder. If it's not working for you, you're not working hard enough.
Mhm.
Uh, you should be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and working a 12, 14-hour day.
Mhm.
But that is, as we now know, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not a long-term strategy for sure. And so when that voice gets going, what does that voice want? That voice wants us to be safe. It's just going about it in this very strange way. It's interpreting as that I want it to be the same, and I'm going to drive you crazy until you just go back to where you were, even if it's not that great, because it's what we're used to. So the fastest way to ease yourself through that is actually through giving your body safety. So how do you do that? Well, you drink good water, you get good rest, you give yourself breaks, you eat really nutritiously, you connect with the people and the pets you care about in your life. You
Mhm.
do something artistic and creative that makes your soul breathe again. You do breathing exercises. You get out of running from that punishing whip and chair that the mind is trying to drive you with, and you go straight to the source. You go straight to the source of your body. Then you say to the mind, hey, look, I'm on your side. I'm taking care of us. We're safe. We're cared for. Now help me. Stop yelling at me.
Yeah.
Help me stay safe. Let's work together. So this is the quickest hack I know. If people come to me and they're in a lot of pain and the mind is driving them crazy, this is what we do. We actually think, how can we take care of the body? So I'll
Mhm.
show you exactly what I do. Like if someone comes to me and they're just all wound up and their mind's like that jackrabbit on a on a hamster wheel, right? Is the
Mhm.
first thing we do is we just stop, take a breath. I have them put their right hand on their left shoulder. Do it with me, Patty. Do it. Yeah, there you go. Left hand on your right shoulder. It's almost like a little hug.
Mhm.
And we just rock back and forth, side to side or forward, back, doesn't matter. What we're doing is we're crossing the midline. This is something that has to work. It works. It's a neurological trick. It works because yeah, you can push the brain buttons if you want. You already know how to do that, don't you? You can
Mhm.
massage right there, press those little brain buttons if you want. You can also you can do a little emotional freedom technique. You can pat the body. But the thing is you're coming back. Sometimes I just have somebody put their hand on their face.
Mhm.
Oh, there's a connection there. Isn't that nice? Isn't that
Mhm.
nice?
Mhm.
And now we're back in the body. We're not running around listening to the head, trying to escape the head. So I'd say if people did anything, and I didn't know how to do this, I was the opposite of this
Yeah.
back in the day. No wonder I could never complete the whole process. No
Yeah.
wonder I could never get to the butterfly part. I
Yes.
was stuck. I was stuck pre-cocoon all the time, all the time. And I was probably running back and forth on the branch like a little wild caterpillar,
Unbelievable,
you
right?
know?
How we do that. And to think that we're actually in self-deception, that it's somehow going to get us to where we want to go, and it's everything but, right? It's everything
I
but.
know.
So it's so
I
true.
know.
Okay, so I'm going to
I
recap for
know.
everybody. So tip number one, again, we're working backwards, and the tips are not in any particular order. So the first one is to be in the discomfort, um, because it's presenting you with this new opportunity, so to speak. That's the way that I interpreted it. So even though things are falling apart, it's all part of that transformational, right, mode. Tip number two is, what did I write? Oh, hold your voice accountable, right? That
Yes.
one was a big one. And asking yourself, well, what if I could? So instead of going to the negative, it's asking yourself, what if I could? And it comes with the whole premise of redirect the mind, redirect the
Yes.
mind. And then the third and
Yes.
last is, I love the get out of your whip and share mode. I love that. And get back to your body. Get back to your body. And I love this exercise that you did. So thank you for sharing that. These are really, really special 3 tips to just to ground yourself, to get back to you, to get back to the body, to get back into this natural transformation that's possible when you do allow yourself that space. So I thought that was really brilliant. Okay, Deborah, thank you so much. And how can people learn more
You're
about
very
you,
welcome.
the work that you do, and how you can help them?
Sure, they can go to Escape the Resistance Cycle, escapetheresistance cycle.com. And there they can see a little bit more about me, but more importantly, they can pick up a little mini webinar, 20-minute, all value, no fluff webinar that goes into a little bit more detail about the different phases of the resistance cycle and how to get out of each one.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so those links and ways to get a hold of Deborah, including her Instagram and any other links that she wants to include, will be right below this video. So make sure to check out and connect with Deborah. She's going to help you to get out of the resistance cycle. Why live there if you don't have to? So thank you so much for being in this virtual summit and sharing.
Oh, thank you, Patty. Thank you. Thrilled.